What's up, everybody? John Henry, both sides of the conversation. Today, we are here in community with the families. Today, we have a touching interview conversation with one of the mothers who have lost their child, a victim of gun violence in our community. And today, we're going to have a conversation with her, a very touching conversation, and just talk about some of the things. It is the holidays. It is the end of the year. And, in 2022, there's have been a lot of loss and gun violence in our community. And we always want to hear from the families, from the mothers, and from the community. And today's interview is touching. We are here today with Heidi Bluford, and she's going to be talking about what's going on, what's been taking place since the loss of her child. So Heidi, welcome, and thank you for being here, having this conversation. I know this is a very touching conversation for me as well, not only being my auntie, but this is my family. But we wanted to make sure that you were uplifted during this holiday season, and wanted to make sure that your voice was heard, and understand that we have community folks who are also going through it, and we wanted to make sure that the voices of the community was uplifted. So with that being said, if you want to just go into and talk about how you've been and how things been going since your loss.
Well, it's been quiet. We just, I'm trying to mourn. Haven't really heard anything from anybody. I didn't really hear too much, before the funeral. So it's just been quiet, no news, no anything. I can't say the detective, he has been keeping in touch with me. Even though he don't have no information, he told me he hasn't forgot, he's still searching. So that kind of gives me a little ray of hope. But he's the only one, that's reached out to me. I was waiting, I was hoping that, since I am from Bayview Hunters Point, I was really hoping that the district supervisor of that district would reach out to me. And he has yet to reach out to me. And I feel like he should have called me after it happened, because that's your district. And you're supposed to know what's going on in your district. So I feel like that was just a total letdown, I feel like the mayor should have reached out, and she didn't reach out. So I just feel like they don't care, and that was a great loss. It may have not been a loss to them, but it was a loss to me. And it was a loss in your community, in the black community. And it was a loss that could have been prevented. It didn't have to happen. That could have been prevented. And it shouldn't be happening on our streets in San Francisco.
Yeah. Well, given, growing up in Bayview, our community's been plagued with violence, with the number of incidents that's taken place over the years. It's always tragic to lose a relative, a loved one, for you, your child, for me, a cousin, a family member. One of the challenges is when we have these incidents in our community, the culture of our communities, trying to keep community together. With so many incidents, and like you said, the level of connection with our elected officials, with our leaders, with the district attorney, with the police, given this experience that you've been through, some of the things that you feel that you would like to see, outside of the contact part, because these things are still happening in our community. What are some of the things, since you've been through this process, or still continue to go through this process, that you feel that we need to make change and to make happen in our city?
It has to be some education. That's the main thing that's lacking. The children are not educated. And that's why this violence is going on. These children, they don't know what love is. That's why they can go out and easily execute somebody, because they've never been showed it. They don't know what to do. They're in a school system that don't want to teach them. You have teachers that don't want to teach them. They're wild, they're unruly. You guys just have too many problems. Nobody wants to deal with us. And at the end of the day, that's what the problem is. Nobody wants to deal with us. But you have to educate the kids. You got to educate the parents. You got to teach the kids the difference between right and wrong. Half of them don't know. Most of them don't know. There's no money, no funding. It's nothing, no programs for the black community. The few little programs it is, if you're lucky, your kid might get into it, but you have to push so hard and fight so hard. allowing, which I see it all the time. You're allowing people to stand on the street corner when we have laws. You're allowing people to sell drugs. Y'all watch it on camera. You're allowing these things to go on in the black community because you want to hold us down instead of helping us. So you allow the people to destroy themselves. And that's what they do. They're destroying themselves, not only themselves, but they're killing other people too in the community. There's no mental health. We suffer from PTSD just from what we've been through in the areas we've had to live in our life. That's a problem for all black people. Even back in slavery, that is a problem from what was did to us. And it's just being handed down, handed down, handed down. Now we're living in these poverty-stricken areas with uneducated people. What is that going to equal? Exactly what we have going on, violence.
Yeah. I mean, I think you touched on a good point about the mental health services. Anytime a crime happens in San Francisco, there's services, there's resources that's supposed to be allocated to the families and to the community. One of the things, like you said, funding and mental health is so hard in our community. Just walk us through that process. Have you ever been able to connect with mental health services and support, or any other victim violence support from the city, from the district attorney's office? Have you been able to navigate any of those resources that is supposed to be there for the community?
No, first you have to know about it. So the only person that helped me that I asked was the lady from San Francisco General, the social worker. So she told me about stuff and she helped me out and she did a few things. And then she told me about the victim of crime mental health service that they have. And then that's about it. Basically, you kind of have to forage for yourself. Right. If you don't go out and find something.
So it's very interesting that you say that, because I run into this with a lot of the families to navigate systems, and I think this is why it's so important to really educate our community how to connect with the resources. So many times we hear this in San Francisco that, it's a lot of resources, but connecting to those resources is a challenge. And, we all are trying to do our part to help make that better. But that's good to bring that level of attention up, because one of the things is, when these tragic situations happen, there's so much emotion, so many things going on. But the biggest thing is, how do we make it better, right? And how do we make these systems and resources work for community folks during these challenging times? And I think education is a big part, and then just really educating our community on our resources. And I know that's a big thing that we've been trying to do here at both sides of the conversation, is to really bring the education, awareness, the information and resources to the community, and make sure that our community is impacted. But it's been a challenge. But I mean, we, a few months from the incident that's taken place, what has that journey been like, in the day-to-day, just coping and getting through that? Because, sometimes community folks, when these situations happen, don't understand that process. So, when it comes to sleep, eating, and just basically trying to get back to normal, somewhat normal life, how's that journey been?
It's been hard, and it's hard because I have to fight every day to get out of bed. My kid is gone. And, to be at work and try to hold a straight face without breaking down every 5 to 10 minutes, it's a lot. Yeah. It's a lot. And it just feels like it's never gonna get better. An innocent life was taken, and I can't get past that. And then if they never find who did this, I'm never gonna have no closure. I don't eat the same. I don't sleep the same. I'm up every night. That's why normally I just go to bed early, because same time, 1:30. 1:30, I gotta relive this every day at 1:30, and then I just wake up tired. And then I gotta fight to get to work, because I'm trying to hold on. I gotta hold on, because I do have 2 other children. But it's a battle. It's a battle. And people who have not lost a child, there is nothing like it in the world. When you have to sit and watch your child in that casket, you will never be the same. And I will never be the same.
When you look at support, from your voice and what you've gone through, what are some of the things that you would like to see for families, for mothers, for victims that's going through this? What kind of services would you like to see our city provide, our community organizations to provide to help walk through these processes when we have these type of incidents in our community?
You just have to make sure that the people are reaching out because, most of the time people don't know what it is that you have to offer. They don't know how to get what you're offering. So they need to really reach out to people and check on people when something like this has happened. You need to have your team making sure that they checking in, even if it's once a month, twice a month, checking in on the families, seeing if they need anything, seeing if they need the mental health services, whatever type of service they might need, guiding them in the right way, helping them to get whatever it is they might need. But you can't forget about them. You got to go check on them. And most of the time, you'll see somebody maybe for the first month, first couple of weeks, and then after that, you don't hear anything. You don't hear anything, you don't see anybody. There's just nothing.
Wow. I mean, it's definitely something that, is touching to me, and I definitely want to be an advocate for these situations so that we can put things in place. I mean, that's kind of what we're here to do, at both sides of the conversation. Our job is to really analyze, criticize, and then mobilize. And just hearing this is something in depth, and even being close and understanding some of the stuff. Like you said, you can never understand that. And we're trying to figure out how do we put measures in place so no one feels this pain, no one goes through it. We're approaching the end of the year in these holiday times, and these are challenging times when the winters are here, the nights is short, those thought processes, and how do we put support and people there to uplift this is what definitely we need to put in place. But lastly, moving forward, the process of finding what happened to get this closure has been a challenge in our community for a lot of the families. I know there's cases after cases of homicides in our district. One of the things, I wanted to ask, from your perspective, just dealing, like you said, with the detectives, what can you recommend that you feel that our district attorney, our chief of police, our violence prevention folks, how do we intentionally, put measures in place to really help bring some kind of comfort to make families feel like their child or their loved one is a priority, because so many times we hear that people are just being told, hey, we'll get to you when we get to you. And we want to keep that humility and compassion in the work because this pain is very hard for families. But what are some of the things you think that you would like to see from our district attorney's office, from the city, to really make families feel like their loved one is a priority and it's being dealt with?
They just got to work on the violence. And the violence, it can be easily stopped. And you can't just, when something happens to a person, family member, you can't just, for some people I know, they've caught the person is out walking around. How is that possible? So you have to find the people, really really look for the people and try to solve the cases. I don't feel like they're really trying to solve them. I mean, that's your job. You're a detective. That's your district. You're supposed to know everything. You're supposed to have a rapport with your community so people can feel comfortable to maybe come give you some information. You have to be out with your people in order to know what's going on. You can't be in the office, oh, I'm here for this, but you're never out in the community. I don't ever see you. You have to talk with the people, see what the people need. We got to put a stop to the violence. The violence can be stopped easily. They know exactly what to do. And I just feel like they don't want to do it for the black community over in Bayview Hunters Point. I feel they want us to continue to do their job and that's to kill each other for the area, because they really want the area. So they're just letting us annihilate each other. We're just annihilating each other because there's no education. There's nobody standing there telling them, hey, this is wrong. Look, you have other avenues. You don't have to go down this route. We have these programs. Somebody stepping in, really helping people and being there for the people. But it's just nobody. And when you don't show that you care, what is the people going to do? They're going to do the same thing. They don't care either. They know you. We know you don't love us. And that's why everybody's acting out. We know no one loves us. And that's just how I feel. There's no love for us in the Baby Hunters Point.
That's deep. You know, I guess for me, the last question is, you know, you talked about the other children that you are still raising and uplifting. You know, can you just let community know, like, the spirits of your other children and just how are they doing? Because I know a lot of times we go through our process and our young people, what's the sense, the feel of, you know, your other siblings and how they're doing?
I mean, they doing the same way like me. It's hard every day for them too. They may not show it because they're a little bit younger, but you just have to make sure you get the mental health they need. Whatever it is that they need, you got to make sure you shoot them in that direction, and that's what I do. If you feel you need to talk to somebody, let's talk to somebody so we can talk about this, because this was a very traumatic experience.
Yes.
And you can't just say, oh, well, I'm okay.
Right.
No. So you just have to make sure that they're in a good mental state of mind and their spirits are up. It's very sad, yes. You know, they'll never see their sister walk through the door again. You'll never be able to talk to your sister again. So all I can do is try to stay strong. We talk about it, because the more you talk about it, you're not holding it in. We can't hold and pin it in. We got to talk about it so that way we can feel some type of relief, because we just don't want to explode and go crazy.
Right.
So they've been doing pretty good, hanging in, you know, doing what they have to do, and we're just trying to hold on together.
Yeah.
And try to make it through together.
Wow.
Through this tragedy. It's going to be hard, but it's just, we got to do what we got to do, and prayerfully we can make it.
Yeah, I think that's very powerful that you said that. You know, one of the things we always talk about, changing the narrative. You know, one of the things that we believe here at both sides of the conversation is through communication, the healing process begins. I just think it was powerful that you just said that, because I really truly believe that through communication, being open to relieve some of that is a good thing. And, you know, mental health services and what each person needs is different, but I think being able to just have a conversation helps a lot. And I'm just sitting back looking at the shrine, and it's so difficult to see a young life, you know, taken away so young, very painful, and to have to absorb that every day. I can only imagine, you know, the pain, you know, the frustration, but we here, and we just wanted to make sure at this time of the year, given the tragedy, given what you've been through, that we just wanted to let you know that we love you, we support you, we here. You know, we've been doing this for a lot of families this year, just impacting them, and I just wanted to make sure that you was uplifted, acknowledged, and, you know, your voice and your pain for what you've been going through has been uplifted and heard. I mean, there's so many things taking place in our community. I just think it's very important at the end of the year to stop and think about what's going on, and really for us to really advocate and to hear, you know, the needs of the family. And this is why it's about when we talk about changing the narrative from the voices of the people, it's so important to hear from mothers like you, from people in the community, because so many times, you know, we get people come out and tell a story, but we like to hear from the people so that we can really hear what's going on and really advocate to make sure that change is happening. And we're going to continue to leverage and work with the people in the community, our elected officials, to make sure change is happening. And, you know, we're going to keep fighting, and we're going to keep working to make change and bring change to our city, bring change to our district, and really see the things that we could do to help curb this violence. It's a lot of work, it's a lot of challenges, but we're trying to do our part. With that being said, you know, I want to go ahead and have our board vice president come here. One of the things we want to do, our both sides of the conversation team, our board, our community, we want to come together and at least give you some relief. I know the tragedy was taking place, can never take away that pain, what took place, but there is a lot of people out there who heard your story, felt your story, and we wanted to do something for you this holiday season just to take away a little of that thought process. And we wanted to give you an opportunity to just do something to get off your mind. So we wanted to show some love and support and uplift you. And our vice president here is going to present you a small gesture of love that we want to give back to you and to the family, and just make sure that this holiday season we can take away a little bit of what you're going through, and we hope that this holiday season will be great for you. So our vice president is going to come.
Thank you for having us in your home today. We come with love and gratitude and wholeheartedly. And I'd like to say on behalf of both sides of the conversation and our CEO, John Henry, please accept this small gesture, a token of love and support. We know that words cannot take away the pain of your loss, but we hope that you find solace in knowing that we love and we support you as much as we can. With caring thoughts, we'd like for you to accept this check of $5,000 on behalf of both sides of the conversation.
Thank you guys. I just want to say thank you guys for not forgetting about me.
We never go forget about you. We never go forget about Bonnie. We love Bonnie, we love you. And we just wanted to make your holiday a little bit lighter. I know this is nothing compared to the loss. But we just love you, and our both sides of the conversation team, our board, we felt like we wanted to do something to give you a little bit of relief, just a little bit of relief. I know this could never take away what you have lost, but we love you, we're here, and family, we love you. We can't just bless all of the people in the community, not bless the people, our people. So I love you, Auntie.
I love you too, nephew. Thank you guys very much.
Another person blessed, that's what we do, continue to bless the people.